have never had this happen before. There are actually too many games coming out this month for me to fully cover. As I was working on the list of new releases, I came up with almost 15 games that looked cool this month. I've whittled it down a little bit. Maybe I'll do a segment at the end of this video, like an honorable mentions or my wall of shame, just like games that I knew that if I included, I would not finish this video in time. But I always want to throw out, if there's a game that you're interested in this month, whether I covered it or not, put it in the comments of the video. That's what this series is all about, finding your next game to love. With that said, here's your games to watch.
Are you lost?
I'm looking for some old friends. The Yotei 6.
Show her the door.
I cannot think of a better way to start a month than with a massive AAA title like this in Ghost of Yotei. Set 300 years after the events of Ghost of Tsushima, we now have a new protagonist, Atsu, on a quest for revenge against the Yotei 6 that murdered her family and left her for dead. Early on, it sounds like you're able to pursue the Yotei 6 in any order. Feels a little bit more like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom to me, which I think is great. And if you've played Tsushima, you know this world is beautiful. So I kind of like the idea of just picking whichever part of the island is most interesting to me and taking out whichever gang member happens to be there. Rather than combat stances from Tsushima, we now have a ton of weapons for Atsu to use. You'll of course have your standard katana, but you'll also have access to spears, dual-wielding swords, a grappling hook, a firearm, a bow. The variety in combat is awesome. And they've added a couple new mechanics for the sequel that I really like. There's this new card system, whereas you're picking up information around the world, you'll actually have clue cards to kind of paint a bigger picture of the world around you. They've showed it off in trailers, but you'll have new allies like a wolf companion. Sounds like they may actually fight with you, which is pretty cool. You can also make camp out in the world and have these unique interactions with the NPCs that you wouldn't otherwise have. I loved Tsushima. It was my first PlayStation Platinum, and I hope Yotei is next. SOPA, Tale of the Stolen Potato, is a story about family, adventure, and the things we leave to future generations. This game has a beautiful fantasy world that's inspired by titles like Spirited Away, Coco, The Little Prince, and to me kind of has a Narnia vibe, but with a South American twist. We play as Miho, who's helping his grandma put together a family soup recipe. But when he steps into the pantry to grab a potato for her, he falls into this magical world. There's plenty of unique characters to meet in this world, and it sounds like we'll constantly come back to it. We'll return with the potato, maybe we come back for the next ingredient, and repeat adventures means new characters, new puzzles, new collectibles, all the good stuff. I could really use a wholesome game in my life right now. This looks perfect. Gonna have a spooky game out in time for Halloween. Little Nightmares 3 follows the journey of Lo and Alone, two best friends on a mission to escape the nowhere. And they'll have to work together in order to solve puzzles and escape this nightmare world. Each player has a unique gameplay mechanic. For example, Lo has a bow and Alone has a wrench. You'll have to use these items together in order to sneak through hidden passageways, scale massive objects, and protect each other from harm. The nowhere is full of creepy monsters and locations. A lot of the stuff I've seen in the trailers focuses on this carnival location that's really freaky, but there's some other places to go as well. This is another great co-op title, but you don't have to do it co-op. If you choose single player, you just have an AI companion for the other partner. This Little Nightmares entry is being made by Supermassive Games, who I love, and this would be my first Little Nightmares title. And I kind of want to pick this one up with my wife, and I think this would be the perfect vibe for October. Pokemon Legends series is back. I honestly didn't know when we would get another one of these titles, and we got one way sooner than I was expecting. ZA is set in Lumio City, which is the same setting as Pokemon X and Y, but shedding that traditional turn-based combat that we all know for some real-time action. During the day, you'll explore the wild zones to catch Pokemon and add them to your Pokedex, and at night, you'll battle with them against other trainers in an attempt to rank yourself up from Z to A. From what I've seen, gameplay looks like it's even revamped from Legends Arceus. Your trainer and your Pokemon look like they move around very freely. You'll have to manage cooldowns for them as well, both swapping your Pokemon and using their abilities. And I like that combat even takes into consideration something like an AoE attack, where your trainer may need to literally get out of the way of a Pokemon's attack, or another Pokemon. Mega Evolutions return, which is a super fun mechanic. It's always cool to see your Pokemon basically turn into a kaiju, and the new designs they get are always awesome. Like always, you'll have 3 starters to choose from. In ZA, you have your choice between Chikorita, Tepig, and Totodile. Big's the only one that I'm not familiar with, so that's probably what I'm gonna go for. But I also love Totodile because I love Feraligatr. I was never really fully sold on Arceus when it came out. I liked the new mechanics, but I think between Arceus, Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, I think I started to get really tired of the performance capabilities with the Switch and later Pokemon titles. So now that I have a Switch 2 and I'm really impressed with the updates from Scarlet Violet, I'm actually really looking forward to ZA.
If you truly think you have what it takes to slay the Dark Dragon, prove it.
Ninja Gaiden 4 introduces us to a new protagonist, Yakumo, and takes place in a futuristic and abandoned Tokyo that's cursed by the remnants of the husk of the Dark Dragon. Yakumo has to face off against the Divine Dragon Order, who's protecting the Dark Dragon's husk and the reign of Dark Rock curse that it brings. A mechanic that I'm really interested to see play out in this title is that the rain will actually warp and degrade the environment around you as you progress. If you know Team Ninja, if you know Platinum Games, you know you're in for intense, challenging, high-speed action with lots of gore. Yakumo's special ability is the use of his Blood Raven form, in which he's able to shape his own blood into weapons to take out the Order. If you miss Ryu from the other Ninja Gaiden games, not to worry, he not only makes multiple appearances in the game, but apparently he's also a playable character. I did not have 2025 as being the year of Ninja Gaiden on my bingo card, but if you're a Game Pass subscriber or just a fan of the franchise, you are eating this year.
It brought you here, my fire. My fire.
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is a title that was not on my radar until a fantastic cover story from the Game Informer crew a few months back. You play as an elder vampire who awakens in a modern-day Seattle after a 100-year slumber and find that you also have a vampire detective in your blood that acts as like a narrator and a companion as you explore this new reality. All of the vampire factions are fighting and Seattle is on the brink of war. The decisions we make as the player will help shape the future of Seattle and its people. So it's up to you to make peace in Seattle or revel in the chaos. The gameplay in Bloodlines 2 to me looks a ton like Dishonored or Deathloop. I love those titles. As somebody that was not familiar with the first title in this franchise, I love the idea of the masquerade being that vampires don't exist. So it's up to you as you feed and get into conflicts that you don't reveal yourself to everyday citizens. Because breaking the masquerade will not only have consequences with Seattle, but with the other vampire factions who are also playing in on the masquerade. That's a really cool story element to me that I hope gets explored a lot. At the start of the game, you have your choice for which clan you belong to, and there's a lot of different choices that will change your early gameplay quite a bit, but all skills should be unlockable. Again, shout out to the Game Informer crew. I am so glad they are back. This game would not be on my radar without their magazine.
You gonna eat those Twinks?
That's not what they're... You know what? Help yourself.
Dispatch was first showed off at the Game Awards last year, and knowing that it's a team of people made up of The Wolf Among Us and Tales from the Borderlands devs, I'm hyped for this. We work at a superhero dispatch, and it's up to us to manage a misfit group of superheroes, assigning them to the correct emergency situations, while also managing individual character politics and our own quest to become a hero. And if you've played any of these narrative-focused games like The Wolf Among Us, like Tales from the Borderlands, you know that every decision that you make will have real consequences to your story. And those decisions may not be apparent in the moment that you make them, which is a little bit stressful, but it's also really cool from a story standpoint. Every hero is unique with their own quirks, their own baggage, and it's up to you to manage the relationships in order to help them improve. And as they level up, they unlock new skills and abilities to make them more effective on the missions that you send them out on. Each of these heroes is voiced by an incredible cast. So you have voice acting legends like Laura Bailey, Travis Willingham, Matthew Mercer, and then you have like A-list actors like Aaron Paul and Jeffrey Wright. Really like how stacked this cast is. When I first found out that this was going to have an episodic release, I was really nervous about that. I feel like we always get bit with that with titles like in the Life is Strange series. I'm really not interested in coming back to a game a month, 2 months, even longer to see where the story plays out. But knowing that Dispatch has weekly episodic releases, I like that a lot more. That's something that I struggle with streaming services a lot too. I kind of like the weekly release because it gives us something to talk about. Instead of a season dropping on Friday, everyone marathons through it over the weekend and then the conversation's over. We'll see if doing that weekly release translates well for a video game to keep Dispatch in the conversation a little longer.
Get ready for an adventure. that took 3 times longer to make, but will almost certainly be 2 times bigger.
Outer Worlds 2 is Obsidian's third game this year. What other developer can say that? Outer Worlds sequel takes place in Arcadia, an isolated colony that's ruled by this authoritarian faction called the Protectorate. An interesting starting point for us with this story, we play as a Protectorate agent, and you're investigating malfunctioning skip drives which are causing massive damage to time-space. But where we go in the story after that is up to us. If you want to go the lawful good route or the chaotic evil route, I promise you Obsidian will let you do both. The dev team looks like they have improved every facet of the original game. From gunplay to traversal to perks and flaws, everything has more impact. Over the summer when they did their big Obsidian showcase, they showed off a ton of cool weapons. Some of my favorites include this gun that shoots out these robots that plays ads to distract your enemies. There's an absolutely disgusting tumor weapon that you can shoot. When it makes impact, it explodes on the enemies, but you can also eat the tumors instead to restore your health, which is so nasty. There's also a sword that you swing to a musical beat, and if you nail the timing, you do extra damage. The devs went deep on the perks and flaw system for the sequel, and I kind of like that they don't let you respec. They really want you to commit to the character that you're making from the offset of the game. And like all great Obsidian games, we have plenty of companions to join us on this journey. You'll have 6 of them from 6 different factions in the world, and they'll all react differently to things that you're doing based on their point of origin. If you have not seen that summer showcase from Obsidian, I highly encourage you to look it up. This is going to be a very special title.
Sorry, kids.
I'm not personally one for extraction shooters most of the time, but anyone I know that played the Arc Raiders betas are really high on this game. Arc Raiders is a third-person extraction shooter made by the Finals team and is PvPvE, so it's us versus the environment versus other players. Arc Raiders is set on a futuristic Earth where humanity is pushed underground as they're ravaged by this robot threat known as Arc. You'll enlist as a raider, take on missions to the Earth's surface, and gather as much resources as you can before time runs out and you need to extract. If you manage to survive against raiders and robots, you extract underground, you're able to convert everything that you collected into either cash or resources to craft and upgrade your gear. There's a variety of merchant factions that you can take quests from, and once you complete them, will expand their inventory for you to spend your money on. But it's not all about gear. Your raider can level up, they earn skill points, and you have 3 different skill trees that you can invest those points in. Play solo or with friends with cross-platform support, which is huge. Every multiplayer game needs to have this. Fortunately, it seems like this is kind of an industry standard at this point. The Arc Raiders beta came out at an interesting time because it was right around the same time that Bungie was releasing their Marathon Alpha playtest, and it seemed like overwhelmingly people that chose Arc Raiders enjoyed their time way more. We'll see what happens with Marathon. I'm kind of sour on that with the whole art theft situation, so if I'm going to pick an extraction shooter, it might be Arc Raiders. Mina the Hollower is the next game from Yacht Club Games. You probably know them as the Shovel Knight team. Probably one of the most successful indie games of all time. They have made so many spin-offs and add-ons to that game, so I'm really excited to see what they do with Mina. If you've not played Shovel Knight, but you love pixel art games, definitely pay attention to this one. We play as Mina, a Hollower, who sets out on a mission to rescue a cursed island. And this island oozes scary with like this gothic horror Victorian vibe, and I think it is so impressive that they can nail that look with like this old school 8-bit pixel style. They do such an incredible job with the art design where you recognize that it has this old school feel, but it's undeniably modern mechanics with the high-speed action and the traversal. Mina has her trusty whip from the start, but not to worry, you've got plenty of other weapons, sidearms, trinkets to equip. You'll have a lot of mix-up in your gameplay. I can't help but smile watching these trailers. It makes me feel like a kid again, checking out the NES for the first time. I'm really excited to see what Yacht Club Games can do to translate that to modern day. Okay, we're here to this new segment, my honorable mentions, my wall of shame. I really don't know what to call this. I'm gonna workshop this with you guys. You let me know in the comments. I have a couple more games that I wanted to include, but I know damn well I am not finishing this video if I had everything. But I would be remiss if I did not include Battlefield 6. It looks like that game has finally returned to form for the franchise. I feel like the last couple titles have just really soured the reputation of that series with players. This is another one like Arc Raiders, where once the beta came out, people were really hyped on it. Seems like the perception has totally changed, which I love for Battlefield. I think competition is great. I'm not typically the FPS guy, so I'm probably not gonna pick this up unless there's like the free-to-play mode, because I know they're working on a battle royale, which I do love. Digimon Story Time Stranger is another one that I wish I could include. I love JRPGs. I'm very out of the loop on Digimon. This title seems pretty cool. I also wanted to throw out an indie game called The Lonesome Guild. This looks like a top-down action RPG, super cute. There's like a roster of 6 furry characters. It's all about building up these relationships and swapping between the heroes for different abilities depending on the environment that you're in. And I love the tagline for this game that I assume will play really well in this story, where the world is lonely, but you don't have to be. And that's your games to watch for the month of October. Thank you so much for watching the Dan Good Show. Again, there are so many games coming out this month, more than I'm willing to cover. Certainly more than I'm willing to edit into this video. So if I did not cover your favorite game, put it in the comments. If I did cover your favorite game, let me know what you're most excited for about it. Again, this series is all about finding your next game to love, so don't be shy. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, send the video to someone. We'll catch you next month.